The other thing that a lot of people aren't talking about, but you're going to hear a lot more about it, is PFAS. And PFAS are forever chemicals. In other words, the chemicals that were used in industry, I mean, the poster child for PFAS is, that stuff they used to spray on carpets and stuff like that so that they would resist water, that kind of a product. So that is in the water supply. And they say that PFAS is in your blood right now, in my blood right now, and breast milk, everywhere in the world right now because of those chemicals. So what's happening is a lot of those chemicals are being outlawed and they're going away. But the problem is the PFAS, the chemicals that were created in the 1940s and the 1950s have been ruled out, but we don't know about the effect. They say there's 4,700 chemicals that will not break down in nature that are part of PFAS.
Tradesmen built America. Not policymakers or desk jockeys, but hardworking blue-collared men and women. Join me, Roger Wakefield, on conversations with some of the nation's most successful skilled laborers. This is the Trade Talks. All right, so first of all, number one, I'm glad to have you here. Gary,
glad to be here. Super excited.
This is so good because, look, plumbers deal with water. Not even just plumbers, HVAC techs, roofers, we all deal with water to an extent. Unfortunately, I've even seen some electrical installs where they deal with water. Not a good thing, but it's what they have to deal with sometimes. So first of all, tell me who you are, where you are, what you do. Let's start with that.
Yeah, so my name's Gary Beutler. I go under Gary the Water Guy. We have a bricks and mortar business in Midland, Ontario, which is about 100 miles north of Toronto, cottage country, very rural, lots of problem water in that area. We started the bricks and mortar business 20 years ago. The first 5 or 6 years were a little bit rocky, to tell you the truth. Be perfectly honest, I was in another business at the same time. And I was kind of relying on some other folks to run that part of the business. And then about 10 years, I guess about 12 years ago, I got out of the other business, devoted myself full-time to the water filtration business, and started building from there. One thing that bothered me right from the beginning when I got in this industry, water filtration, was how many people in the industry didn't have a clue how things worked, how to apply them properly. They were mostly sales kinds of people. That means they were selling appliances one year, maybe cars another year, and water filtration another year. So they didn't really have the in-depth knowledge. And then YouTube came along for me about 10 years ago. I started making YouTube video. The first YouTube video was how does a water softener work? And a lot of success from that, and started building from there. After a couple of years, I started getting all these comments. Where do you get the stuff that you're talking about? People were contacting me from all over North America. I'm just in a fairly small community. And so I decided to get into e-commerce. So I opened the Canadian e-commerce store probably 9 years ago, and had some really good success. And then we opened the U.S. e-commerce store about 6 years ago, and we've had some great success with that. And so on an ongoing basis, we get emails from folks all over North America, like I say, from Florida to Alaska, and they've got problems with their water. And basically, we start off with what concerns you about your water and your water chemistry. Those two things we start with, and then from there, we build out some recommendations for them, what it would take to fix their water.
Okay, so this is interesting. So had you been in water before? Had you been in any trades, anything at all like that?
Well, my previous business had nothing to do with water. I was in the bakery business, actually. Okay. Self-employed. We had a wholesale bakery business, and we had a storefront on that. And that's actually why I got into the water business, was because I was looking for something to get people into the store. And so we had, one of those things where people couldn't fill up water jugs, that kind of thing. So we started off with that. And I've had water softeners since my first house, which was 1982, that I installed the first Sears water softener back then. And so I definitely had an appreciation for it, but no.
Here's why I wanted to have you in here is I think every plumber in the world needs to understand that the quality of water affects the entire plumbing system. Everything from the valves to the fixtures, faucets, every single thing. So how bad is our water? If there's no water filtration system, and I know it's different all across the country, all across both countries, but how bad is our water really?
Well, and that's the key, right? I mean, you can have some folks' water isn't that bad. I've had one of the worst water situations I had was well water, and the customer's water was absolutely horrific. I mean, came out black. It super high TDS, high sodium. It stunk from sulfur. It had everything. Right next door, the customer was also on a well, different depth, obviously different aquifer. The water was among the best I've ever tested. So you literally can't tell well to well and city to city. Like we've got some cities where the hardness is super, super hard. I mean, it's just horrible. We've got other cities where it's not so bad. Now, if their water source is a surface water source, like one of the Great Lakes or something like that, then typically the water isn't all that hard, right? Water becomes hard from being in the ground, absorbing the minerals. And so it really depends on the situation. Every place is unique.
I like that because, and look, part of this whole thing, look, I talk to plumbers. And I try to tell plumbers and plumbing company owners, guys wanting to start their own companies, water filtration systems are a great revenue source.
Absolutely.
It's, you've opened a business just selling water filters.
Exactly.
Plumbers, every house we walk in, and I remember interviewing a plumber one time. He says, man, I sell a ton of whole house water filtration systems.
Right.
I said, really? I says, how do you do it? And he says, well, to be honest, he said, every house I walk in, whether I'm there to fix a water heater, a toilet, whatever it is, before we get to it, I say, well, before we get to this, show me your whole house water filtration system. I want to make sure it's functioning properly.
Right.
Well, probably 99 out of 100 homes don't have them.
Exactly.
So they look at him like, the deer in the headlight look, saying, well, we don't have one. He's like, okay, that may be part of the problem. Exactly. Now let's go look at the problem. Look at the toilet, look at the water heater, look at the lavatory, whatever it is. Then he'll fix everything and then say, let's go ahead and test your water while I'm here. Now, I had a big company that was growing across Texas, selling stuff to help people, I'm going to say, make their homes better. Water filtration systems, air filtration systems, all kinds of cool stuff.
Yep.
And they were here in the Dallas area. They called me and asked me to come in and talk to them. They wanted me to actually install the water filtration systems for them. And then they asked me, how should we sell them? What do you recommend? How can we sell more of these? And I said, well, it starts with the water test. What results do y'all get when you do a water test? And I said, well, we don't do a water test. I said, so you're just telling everybody you need a water filtration system? And they said, yeah.
Yeah, that's so wrong.
And I'm like, that's where you've lost. You're trying to sell something to everybody that walks in the door. There's a way to do it. To me, plumbers can walk in, do their plumbing job while they're at the house doing their whole home inspection. Hey, we want to test your water. We want to show it to you. And there's a lot of cool different things you can do to show them how bad the water is. What did you do that helped you sell water filtration systems from the beginning?
Yeah, from the beginning, it was always the number one first question was, what concerns you about your water?
And find their pain point.
Exactly. And if literally they said, well, nothing, my water's perfect, I'm done. Literally, I'm done. I congratulations, you've got great water. I'm sorry, I can't help you. But if they have concerns about the stain, taste, smell, discoloration, staining, or safety of their water, then it's a conversation. Then we test the water. Always, always, always test the water. To find out exactly what their pain point is, what the water chemistry is, and now what's the solution between those. And then we start talking about that. And if there's a budget constraint, we talk about prioritizing. Okay, well, this is your number one concern. There's a few other things here, but if the budget doesn't dictate fixing more than the number one concern, we'll fix that. And we can always talk about the rest later when budget permits.
I like that. Now, up in Canada, do you install them too, or do you just say, look, here's your filter, call some people? How do you do that in Canada? Yeah,
so in our service area, which is about an hour from where our office is, we do have we do installations. We have a couple installers. We have that. And that's a lot of the grassroots stuff that I learned too. Like I do a lot of the troubleshooting. I don't do the installations, but I do a lot of the troubleshooting. And that's where I learned a lot over the last 20 years is about, what works, what doesn't, under what circumstances, flow rate, so many other things that factor into the whole thing. But then folks outside of our area, we just ship the equipment. Again, we got YouTube videos that explain how to install, not how to actually do the plumbing, but how to install in terms of what order the equipment goes in, how to start them up, like to backwash them to get them going, all those kinds of things. We've got great YouTube videos on that. So either, the homeowner watches it or they suggest their plumber watches. I mean, they're usually 3-4 minutes long, right? And so it doesn't take very long for them to get up and get going.
Cool. I like that. So again, if we're talking to a plumber that is either just getting in the business, they're just a plumber. They're a service technician. And when I say just a plumber, I tell everybody, look, I'm just a plumber.
Yeah.
So I don't mean that bad to anybody out there. Don't take that wrong. But my thought is, if there's a service plumber that works for a plumbing company,
yep,
and he wants to make more money, he wants to help his company grow, or it's a company just starting their own plumbing company. We specialized in slab leaks and leak detection.
Right.
We tried to get better at it than anybody. Study all the different equipment. Eventually, I bought the best equipment, bought the company that manufactured it. So now we manufacture it. And Leak Pro has gone on to be a big deal for us. And it's a great product. If there's a person out there that works for a company or is starting his own, or maybe it's even a seasoned veteran entrepreneur or company that wants to add money to his bottom line.
Yep.
He wants to add revenue. He wants to increase his sales 5%, 10%, 20% a year. What do you think is the best way for them to start?
Yeah, I would say the same way we started, and that is whenever you're doing service work for a customer, ask them, what concerns do you have about your water? Like, what concerns you about your water? Not the leak or the toilet that I'm here talking about today, but what concerns you about your water? And carry a kit. Learn how to test their water and carry a kit. Now, if you even want to start more grassroots than that, you can actually, if they've identified that there's something wrong with their water and you're a plumber, or it's a small plumbing 2-man show, that kind of a thing, you can actually have the water tested and email us a copy of the test results. And we've got a form that we fill out, how many people in the household, that kind of thing. And then from there, we can make a recommendation. And then again, depending on how small the plumbing company is, if they're very small, they don't have a big budget, they could actually ask the customer to purchase the equipment from us. We'll ship it to them, and we offer free shipping. And then they install it for them. So now they're learning, right? They've learned. So they're not going to stop there. They're going to, again, get the test kit, and they're going to start figuring out themselves. And then eventually they'll learn, and they'll just get the equipment from their own supplier and go from there.
So the way I talk to plumbers, I say, look, get the test kit, learn how to use it. Learn how to use it. Go home, test your water, test your mom's water, test your neighbor's water, test anybody's. Learn how to test it, learn what it means. There's a website, ewg.org, that you can go through and put in your zip code, and it'll tell you how many contaminants are over the recommended level in your area. And then you can go in and look at them and see what they are and how much they are. And I think I looked at one the other day. Arsenic was like 24 times over the recommended level.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And it's like, guys, this is poison. And your city is allowing it to be over 24 times the recommended level. Another big one, of course, chlorine, chloramine. Chlorine was big because that's what got me to buy a whole house water filtration system.
Yeah.
I'm brushing my teeth one morning, and I'm literally, it's like all of a sudden it's like, God, it smells so strong.
Like a swimming pool.
Yeah, well, and tested the water. It was 4 times more than what a swimming pool should be.
Nuts.
4 parts per million in my water and 1 part per million recommended for a pool. So it's like, okay, wait a minute. There's a problem here.
Yeah.
And, one of the company that I love their water filters, he says, look, you can either buy a water filter or you can be the water filter.
It's what it says on my truck.
You bet. And it is so big that, I mean, that's what our body does. It filters the chemicals out. So
Exactly.
when you're in a shower, the chlorine that's in the water literally stays in your body while the pure water goes down the drain. And you also said that, you ask people what concerns do you have about your water, and they're like, I don't have any. I always send them to ewg.org anyway. Hey, go check it out. Just see the water in your area. Or look at them and say, well, how much fecal matter do you think it's okay to have in your water?
Good point. Yeah.
And they're like, none. It's like,
Exactly.
Okay. And you may want to check some of these reports out. And I've gone to the cities and pulled reports from there. Where all do you get your data? Do you do ewg.org? Do you do everything you're telling us? I love EWG because it's a third party. Let me have them test it, and I have nothing to worry about.
Yeah. So there's a lot of local independent labs. So in Canada, we use Caducean. That's a big company that has, in larger cities, they have a number of different places. So they have a kit. You tell them what you're interested in having the water tested for. They send you the kit. You fill in the water samples. You send it back to them. They test it. I think it's $180 or something like that. And they'll give you a full well water analysis. And then, like you say, it's a third party, totally independent, and can go from there. I mean, we test water too. We get samples in, but we just test for the basics: hardness, iron, TDS, pH, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But if someone, if there's more to it than that, then we definitely recommend they have the full lab test done so that we know exactly. And like you said, that's the best information. It's third party.
You bet. Now, most people, most homeowners, the things that we really need to worry about: chlorine, chloramine, chemicals like that. A lot of people ask about fluoride every now and then. Yep. We know it's in the water. And then iron, but also, like you said, the hardness. Most water filtration systems don't remove the hardness. You got to go into a water softener then.
That's correct.
Do you do water softeners too? Just filtration systems?
No. We do water softeners, iron filters, sulfur filters, tannin filters, that brown in the water from lake water, that kind of thing. Like I say, all problem water. We'll do whole house reverse osmosis systems. Just had somebody, I was reading an email this morning, they got 6,000 TDS in their water, and they need 3,000 TDS or lower to be able to water their cattle, and so we do whole house systems like that too, and commercial systems for, cannabis growers, those kinds of things. We do the big 9,600 gallon per day reverse osmosis systems too.
Cool. And TDS, total dissolved solids, what kind of things do those put in the water? The TDSs, the things you're checking for.
Yeah, so usually it's sodium, high sodium in the water. Can be nitrates, can be nitrites. And of course, the harder the water, the higher the TDS of the water too, because of the calcium magnesium that's in the water. So even after you soften water, it still has high TDS. And so often that needs to be addressed at the same time. Now, normally with a reverse osmosis, we usually just go with a drinking water system. We normally don't go with a whole house system unless, we have run into situations where the people couldn't shower. They couldn't do laundry. They couldn't do anything because the TDS was so incredibly high. So then we look at a whole house reverse osmosis system.
One thing that I love is I used to work out at Texas Instruments, TI.
Yeah.
I built a lot of the DI water stations. So resin beds, just a ton of stuff. So to see what all really is water and how much you can actually pull out of it using the right product, using the right system. Do you get into UV, anything at all like that?
UV.
We did a lot of that.
UV's huge in Canada, and we sell a lot of UV in the U.S. For years, it seems U.S. has been, in terms of disinfection, has been more chlorine injection. That kind of thing. Well, people are trying to get away from that because at the end of the day, you got to do something with that chlorine. Right. So you end up backwashing it out into your septic bed. What's the worst thing to put in your septic?
Right.
Acid. So that's the thing. So UV has really become on big, and we do a lot of work with UV. And the big thing with UV is just two things. One, you need to make sure that the water's clear, going into the UV. And two, you have to make sure the flow rate doesn't exceed the capacity of that UV.
The bulb, you bet. And check your bulbs. Make sure you keep them up to date.
Yeah. Pretty much all the modern systems now have timers in them. Yeah. So they'll start beeping after a year and they'll bug you enough to change it.
Yeah. I remember, one of the systems I built at TI, I think there were like 43 bulbs in it.
Oh, wow.
And it was just like, okay, this is a lot of fun. So back to plumbers. Let's go to homeowners. Homeowners think, look, the city's going to give me good water. I'm going to drink Safe Water Drinking Act. We get that. But safe means they get it to us safely. No mold, no mildew, no bacteria. That's what the chlorine's for.
Their definition of safety.
You bet. But they get it to us safely because there's no mold, mildew, bacteria. There's nothing in there that's going to make us sick immediately. It's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Immediately, it's not.
Right.
The mold, mildew, bacteria, yes. I had food poisoning last week. I understand getting sick immediately.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it like this, I guess. Chlorine is like a long, slow, painful death.
It is. It is.
Because it's not good for your body. Anybody can look that up. I'm not just saying it. There's a lot of things in our water, fecal matter. It's not good for your body. I don't care who you are. And a lot of people don't understand that stuff like that is allowed in the water. My thought is, if I'm a homeowner, and there's a lot of different systems out there, what does a homeowner need to look for in a filtration system? As plumbers, we normally go with the company that comes in and gives us the best pitch. Great. Sounds like you've got the best filter. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. What kind of things do homeowners need to look at, and what questions do they need to ask? Because that helps plumbers know how to answer those questions.
Yeah, when it comes to drinking water, just drinking water.
Well, I'm looking at whole house because to me, I want something that fixes the entire system.
Yeah.
Just drinking water. I mean, you can say, look, I've got a filter on my kitchen sink where my drinking water is, but every time I get in the shower, every time I get in the bathtub, I'm sitting in the same water. So I always look at whole house water filtration system.
Yeah, so whole house water filtration system, you're looking at a carbon-based system, usually something that uses catalytic carbon, because catalytic carbon will work on chloramines as well as chlorine. So, and maybe your municipality isn't using chloramines yet, but they will be because it's cheaper. And so you might as well go with one that uses the catalytic carbon, first off, to do that for the whole house situation. The other thing that a lot of people aren't talking about, but you're going to hear a lot more about it, is PFAS. And PFAS are forever chemicals. In other words, the chemicals that were used in industry, I mean, the poster child for PFAS is, that stuff they used to spray on carpets and stuff like that so that they would resist water, that kind of a product. So that is in the water supply. And they say that PFAS is in your blood right now, in my blood right now, and breast milk, everywhere in the world right now because of those chemicals. So what's happening is a lot of those chemicals are being outlawed and they're going away. But the problem is the PFAS, the chemicals that were created in the 1940s and the 1950s have been ruled out, but we don't know about the effect. They say there's 4,700 chemicals that will not break down in nature that are part of PFAS. So it's phenomenal. So that's a big thing. But that whole house backwashable catalytic carbon filter will get rid of PFAS. So, and that's huge, right there.
Love that. Okay. Catalytic carbon's good. Maintenance free. Some water filtration systems you can buy these days, they're like, look, this will last 10 or 20 years. Normally catalytic carbon.
Yeah.
What about the filter top, the cartridge filter top? And here in the United States, I think most of us are not on well water. Most of us are on city water.
Yeah.
There are well water systems here, just even here in the Dallas area. My sister's got one down in Austin. So, sending that water off, getting it checked, making sure the system you buy addresses the problems you have. Like you started off talking, 2 different wells, 2 different levels.
Exactly.
One's the worst, one's the best. What type systems, other than the carbon, do you like the filter systems? Are there some really good ones out there? I love the maintenance free.
The maintenance free is huge because the problem is, when you stop maintaining that filter, it bypasses. So now it's a false sense of security. Okay. Yeah, I got a filter downstairs that does it. When was the last time you replaced it? I don't know, 5-6 years ago, that kind of thing. So now it's worse than having no filter because now you got a false sense of security, right? And that's the worst, So definitely the automatic backwashing ones are definitely the way to go. And like you say, they last 10, 15, 20 years without any maintenance. That's great. You know, the filter cartridges and that kind of thing, you're always going to be having to replace those. You're not going to be sure when it's time to replace those. You know, even the manufacturer can't tell you because they don't know how much chlorine is in your water, right? Mm-hmm. And how much water you use.
Or how many gallons are going through it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good deal. I like that. Okay, so if somebody, and I'm buying some land out in the country, it's got city water on it. It's also got a lot of water around there. I know that there's other places out there on wells. Somebody putting on a well water system. You drill it, you pump it, you get it out, test it, and then start designing a filtration, a sterilization, a distribution, a storage, start looking at everything. I'm also looking at possibly rainwater harvesting, something I'm licensed to do.
Yep.
Again, take the rainwater, collect it in your area, send it in and say, hey, how do I filter this to get it to potable water, water levels?
Yeah.
Different systems for, a city water filtration system, a well water filtration system, and a rainwater filtration system. 3 completely different systems to help us reach the same levels, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And so what we have is if someone identifies that they have a concern about their water and they want us to help with recommendations, we have 3 different forms we actually send them. One is city water, one is well water, and the other is surface water, which would be rain or lake or, that kind of thing. And we ask different questions for each of those scenarios. So, but a lot of it, some of it comes down to the same basics, and the same basics are we need to know things like the flow rate from their pump, to be able to backwash that media properly that we suggest for them. And like what you said, how many people in the household, so we get a feel for how much water they're going to be using or processing. Or if they, like the guy I was talking to this morning, has a ranch and he's got a certain amount of heads of cattle on there. Well, how much water do they take? That kind of thing. So it depends on the situation, but there's some basics. So we know that surface water is not going to be hard. It's not going to have iron in it. It's not going to have sulfur in it. So we know those kinds of things, but
hopefully no chlorine, no chloramine.
Hopefully. Yeah. Not yet anyway. But we know that they're highly, highly susceptible to bacteria, right? So we have to be careful about those kinds of things. Whereas city water, not going to be worried about bacteria, again, hopefully, but everything else. And city water now, another big concern is PPCPs, pharmaceuticals and personal care products,
That people are just flushing down the drain every week, every day.
Well, not just that. Birth control's been around since the 60s. I don't know if we all know, but our body will only absorb so much of the pills we ingest. The rest gets excreted, right? So where does that end up? There's no new water being made.
Oh no, we got the exact same amount we had 1 million years ago.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And we just keep reusing it, and their ability to process that water affects all of us.
So, and let's just talk about this, nothing to do with water filtration, but desalination plants.
Yeah.
They're saying, look, this can help us get more water.
Absolutely.
Because now we can take the water out of the ocean, we can desalinate it, we can filter it, we can sterilize it, sanitize it, purify it, and boom. And I love even watching these TV shows where, somebody invents a water filter. And it's like they will literally take raw sewage water, pour in there, let it filter through it, do it still, and then drink it.
Yep.
And I think that's going to be great in third world countries, places where we don't have.
For sure.
And there's a company called Dig Deep that says, look, there's 6 places in the United States where the people that live there don't have access to good drinking water.
Right.
And I'm like, man, why aren't we fixing things like that before worrying about everything else?
Yeah.
But different filters, different sterilization, different type, and again, desalination. Is this going to help us have more water? Because the reason I became a lead AP, the reason I became a green plumber, part of the reason I started my plumbing company and called it Texas Green Plumbing is because of water conservation. Are things like this, are there things coming that are going to help us get to, I'm not going to say unlimited water, but we've got more water because, and we're covering up the face of the earth with more people each and every day. We're going to need more water somewhere down the road.
Yeah, that's definitely membrane technology. So reverse osmosis is membrane technology, and that's what desalination is. And that's right now, that's the best way to desalinate water is through reverse osmosis. So, And that technology has improved so much. I mean, 20 years ago, to get a decent reverse osmosis system, not even a made in USA one, like even a Chinese one, was well over $1,000 for the homeowner. Whereas now you can get them for $250, and they're several times better, several times more efficient than those ones for $1,000 20 years ago. So because it's becoming more and more common, there's more and more work going on in those areas. Not as fast as we'd like, but there's a lot of work going on, and that's definitely the future. Membrane.
What is a good reason that a homeowner would want an RO system in their house?
To clean up the water, to reduce the mineral content by 90%, to get rid of the PFAS, to get rid of the PPCPs, because that's the only thing that takes out PPCPs, pharmaceuticals and personal care products. And like all the things we don't know about that's in our water, especially the city water right now, reverse osmosis is such a good, handy thing to have in your back pocket. And it's so inexpensive right now that me personally, I think every homeowner should have it. I don't care if you're on the city water, if you're on rain harvesting, well water, I don't care. I believe every homeowner should have it.
Does RO take any of the flavor out, or does it make the water feel or taste different?
Yeah, it does feel or taste different. It's less dense, right? So when you take water that's a 500 parts per million TDS and you take it down to 50 parts per million TDS, yeah, it's going to taste different. So, I mean,
it feels thinner.
It's thinner.
It does. It feels thinner.
Less viscous.
Only way I know how to put that.
No, you're 100% right. Sometimes when I say that to people, they look at me like I'm crazy. No, but you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, it changes the taste. There's no taste. Those kinds of things. So people sometimes say to me, "Well, I'm going to like the taste of the reverse osmosis water," and I said, "Well, you can try it out yourself. Buy some bottled water, Dasani, Aquafina, or Smart Water." Those three are all reverse osmosis water. If you like the taste of those, then you'll like the water that comes out of your RO system.
So a young guy's starting a company right now.
Yeah.
He's got his truck. He's got his tools. He's doing good advertising, good marketing. He's all by himself. Maybe he's got an apprentice with him. He's running 3 calls a day. So 750 calls a year. Out of 750 calls a year, 3 calls a day, 5 days a week, how many water filtration systems could he sell if he got good at it?
Probably half. Because it's one of those things, Roger, if you don't ask, you don't get, right?
You bet.
And it's one of those situations, if he's in the home, they like him, he showed up on time, he did what he said he was going to do, it ended up being about what they thought it was going to end up being.
He beat out 95% of the plumbing companies in the world just by showing up on time and doing what he said he'd do.
Don't we all know it?
Yes.
Yeah. And if he does that, and he looks the homeowner right in the eye and asks them, "Do you have any concerns about your water? Does anybody in your family have any concerns about your water?" And they mention something, okay? And he's got his test kit right there, and he's ready to test their water right there and share some knowledge about it. Huge.
The question I like, instead of "do you have concerns," a lot of people don't. They're like, "No, the city sends it to me. I'm good. I pay my bill," which, I'll piss a lot of people off here. I think the price of water should be doubled, tripled, or quadrupled. We don't pay near enough for it. And
how important it is to us.
Yeah, and people don't worry about it. So, yeah, I piss off a lot of people when I say that, but that's the truth. And, my thought is, a company starting out, if they got good at this, we specialize, like I said, slab leaks, leak detection, boom. Getting into water filtration, learning more about it, it's like, wow. And again, water and being green and all this, I walked into a plumbing continuing education course 20 years ago when it came out. I think it was 94 that we had to start doing CE. The first or second one I walked into, I got there early. And the instructor was talking to somebody up front. And this is probably 10 minutes before class started, so there weren't a lot of people in there. And he looked at somebody, sitting there, and they were talking about water. He said, our grandchildren will not have access to water the way we do. And I just kind of thinking, what? And he said, with all the chemicals in it, with everything we're having to do to it, the longer it takes to treat it, the this and that, and with more people, the same amount of water, we're going to start rationing water. We're going to start controlling water. We're going to start allowing how much water you can have or can't have or whatever. And at first I thought, man, this guy's nuts. And I started doing the research and started looking. I thought, man, this guy's right. And for me, like I said, that was probably about 25 years ago. And I've got granddaughters. And now that I've got granddaughters, it's like, because at first I'm thinking my son, I want him to have water the way I had it.
Of course.
We never had to worry about it. Just go out, turn the hydrant on, let it run in the yard while you go inside and eat lunch. Nobody cares.
Yeah, that's
it's
right.
Water. It doesn't cost anything. And, now I look at it, but I go back to that company owner. I had my reasons. And most company owners, most people starting a business right now today, they want to make the phone ring. They want to pay their bills. That's all they want to do. I want to pay my bills. I want to make my phone ring so I can pay my bills. And listening to you, if somebody's running 750 calls a year, they should be able to sell 325 whole house water filtration systems. That's a game changer.
Yeah. And the opportunity is there. They just don't know that it is. They just don't know how close it is within their grasp. And like I say, making the leap from where they are now to start in small steps. As you know, I have a YouTube channel. There's 450 YouTube videos on there, and they're all about how things work, how to install, how to maintain.
And my thought is, going back to your question, are you happy with your water? Most people don't know. Or do you have any concerns about your water? Most people don't know that they should have.
Yeah.
My question would be, do you know about all the contaminants that the cities allow to be in your water?
Yeah.
And just ask that question. And if they say, yep, I know and I don't care, cool, you're good.
Well, plus there's the other side of it too, Roger, the infrastructure, the breaking down of the infrastructure. So when the
old infrastructure that's been around forever and was built 100 years ago to filter the water the way we have it today.
Exactly. So you think about, they estimate 40% of the water that leaves the water filtration place, only 40% of it disappears getting to people's homes. It gets lost in the way.
I have had so many arguments and complaints about, think about what Gary just said. When the city sends out 1 million gallons of water, as long as 600,000 of it gets metered, they're happy.
Right.
We can account for 60% of the water.
Yep.
That means 400,000 gallons of water can disappear, leak out, go away. It's okay. It's to be expected. That is unacceptable. Right. Well, so leak detection is a big, big deal to me.
Well, I understand that, but think about what's coming back, the sewage coming back. So if 40% is getting lost going out, is 100% of the sewage coming back?
No.
No, of course not. And is some of it in the same trench?
I see it all the time.
Yep. So does some of it cross over? Is it possible?
They'll tell you no.
And you trust them, right?
Oh, yeah. Doesn't everybody? Doesn't everybody trust what the government tells them? That's a whole nother subject, right?
It is.
Yeah, the neat thing about it, though, and what I love about this is, I specialized in slab leaks and leak detection. You specialized in water filtration, not even as a plumber.
Nope.
You're just like, hey, look, I see a need here. And this is why I joined Green Plumbers USA a long time ago. Got certified by them, became a lead AP. I believe in water conservation, but above that, water quality's got to be there.
Yeah.
And if anybody's listening, and I really don't care what trade you're in, if you're a plumber, water filtration, slab leaks, leak detection, pick a specialty that nobody else knows like you. And, I tell people all the time when I'm talking, if you want to be great at what you do, get up every morning, 30 minutes or an hour early, study your industry, your specialty. Me, slab leaks and leak detection. Study it for 30 minutes to an hour every day. within a year, you're going to be an industry expert.
Absolutely.
Nobody else is studying it.
Yeah.
Nobody's trying to be the best. It's sad, but it's true.
You're the go-to guy.
People want to survive.
Yeah.
I want to be the go-to guy. I want to be the guy that says, look, Roger understands this. So I love the question. Do you have any idea all the contaminants the municipalities allow to be in your drinking water?
Yeah, no,
that's
a good
whole
question.
mind changer.
It is.
And then they're like, well, what do you mean? Well, now you can send them that third party and say, look, you go look at this report. I'm going to test your water real quick. I want you to stand right here and say, I'm not putting anything in it. I'm not doing anything. If you're a YouTuber, video it, show people what you're doing. A lot of people, I mean, it's you use a swimming pool test kit, I'm assuming.
Yeah. No, we actually have water filtration. The company's Lamont that I got mine from.
Cool.
Maybe $500, something like that. And it's got the basic tests in it. Even has a mini water softener in it you can run through and that kind of thing. But it gives you some good information, and customers are impressed. When they see you bring this thing out, they're impressed.
No, I love that. Halo's got the little mini system where you can run it through a filtration system.
Yep.
I've seen theirs. And I mean, it's a water filtration system in a box, in a suitcase. You run the water in, you run the water out, you test it when it comes out, you test it before it goes in, you show them the difference, and you show it right there.
Yep.
Look, I just installed a water filtration system, verified what it did, showed you what it did.
It's a wow moment.
Literally, and it is. It's a wow moment. People literally are like, oh my gosh, I just watched this.
Yeah.
And now you tell them, if we install one out here, this can filter everything through your house.
Exactly.
Average installation cost on a whole house water filtration system.
Yeah, I mean, again, depending on what you're doing, but in terms of, we're talking about an automatic backwashing, catalytic carbon kind of filter, you're looking about $1,200-$1,300 for the unit, and then to do the install, $300, in and around that range.
Oh, I think your prices are way low.
Yeah,
I'm
Canadian dollar. Do what? Canadian dollar.
Canadian. There you go. Yeah. Put a zero on the end. Now you're talking American dollars. I truthfully think, number one, the units, $1,000 to $2,000 for a really, really good one.
Yeah, it has to be a good one.
I want the best.
Made in USA.
And me, go back to the Seth Godin book, The Dip. Are you trying to be the best? If not, why not? And when I sell product, I want the best. I don't want to. You're going to pay a lot for the install. Why install a half-baked product?
Right.
And say, okay, we got a filter system. Nah, you really don't. You've got a piece of toilet tissue the water runs through.
Yeah.
But my thing is, buy a great system. But here in the United States, our houses aren't designed where you can just walk in. This is where the water comes in.
Yeah, that's true.
Here.
Yeah.
So our house, the way our houses are designed, it comes in. Mine, we were able to catch it where it comes in before the house. So
right.
we get the distribution line, put in a 3-valve bypass system, run in, go up, go through the wall into the garage. Installed mine in the garage. I love that. We've recently installed 3 of them that we buried. So you take that same distribution line, dig a hole in the ground, drop it in there. We put down a rock base. We put a sleeve around it. We do so many different things to protect it. Some of the systems, I know Halo has a rain guard that you can put over the control box.
Yes, right.
Some systems, I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
You do have to get electricity to most of them.
Yeah,
especially
110.
if they've got a backwash. Yeah.
110.
Yeah, 110. Yeah. It's easy. So there's a lot of different things, but I'm looking at, to me, I would think installation cost minimal is $1,000, maybe 2 to 5. Mine would have been in around the 2 to 3 range. I've had some where we've had to dig the water line 25, 30 feet.
Yeah,
so we trench it. We take the line coming in, we reroute it over, go into the garage, come back out, and then into the house. Again, create a 3-valve bypass that way, and it's something we add on.
Of course.
But I wanted, in that particular installation, we wanted the filtration system in the garage where it was accessible, easy to get to.
But not outside.
Even though they don't have to do anything to it.
No, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. You're not going to do anything to it for 10, 15 years. but you're going to walk by, you're going to look at it, you're going to smile.
Yeah.
Every now and then you're going to hear it backwash. Probably not, because you schedule that for 3 a.m.
Right.
But say a plumbing company can profit $1,000. Okay.
Yep.
That would put it in a $5,000 cost range, somewhere around there, total installation.
Sure.
An extra $325,000 profit per year.
Yeah. Right to the bottom line.
Straight. Yeah. We're talking profit. We're not talking revenue.
Yeah.
Your revenue is going to be 1.5, somewhere around in there.
Right.
That's an easy thing to do just by studying a filtration system as a company owner. Now, again, I go back, I'm talking plumbers here, but HVAC technicians, you can do indoor air quality, air scrubbers.
Yeah.
UV systems. That there's so many things that you can do to improve the quality of people's lives. And it starts with just having the conversation.
Yeah. Asking those great questions.
You bet. You bet. So what's coming next for water filtration?
Water filtration industry moves slowly. I'm at the convention next week, and there's going to be all kinds of new things there. But 2 years from now, will those new things still be around? Probably not. So it's one of those industries where there's a lot of new stuff comes out. And unfortunately, once it's installed in people's homes, in real life situation, it sometimes performs differently. So because of that, it moves slowly. And like I say, membrane technology, that's on the horizon. Better, more efficiency. That trend's definitely been going on for the last 20 years everywhere, that kind of thing. But in terms of, the one big thing will be membrane technology, but it seems like it's still far off. Far off. So
you make YouTube videos.
Yep.
You're on social media. Where all are you at? Where can people find you if they wanted to get in touch with you, learn more about water filtration, anything at all like that?
Yeah, Gary the Water Guy is my YouTube channel, and that's where I do most of my stuff. Yeah, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Our e-commerce store, Water eStore, waterestore.com in the US, waterestore.ca in Canada. Our Facebook is Water eStore _US for our Canadian version, our US version, sorry. And that's usually the best place to find us. And like I say, we respond well to emails. We get lots of emails.
Good deal. Good deal. Okay, so this has been fun. So I'm going to ask you a question now and I want you to think about it for just a second. If you talk to young Gary the day that he walked out, normally I tell people to say to do your first job in the trades, but maybe it's to walk in and do water filtration, work in water filters, install it in your bakery, whatever it is. If you could go back and tell young Gary who's getting started in the water filtration business, if you could tell him the one thing you wish that you knew then that would help you get to where you're at now faster, better, anything like that, what is the one thing you've learned in your time in this industry that had you known it earlier, had you known it better, had you studied it, had you got better at it, whatever it is, what would you go back and tell yourself that first day? Hey, do this, learn this, study this, get good at this, whatever it is. What would that be?
Invest in myself. Invest in the learning. Invest in taking courses. Invest in I belong to the Water Quality Association. Check that out. Take the courses at the WQA convention, for example. They have all kinds of information there about learning. So I'm a certified water specialist, become a certified water specialist. I'm a certified installer, become a certified installer. Even though I don't install, I still wanted to become a certified installer, but invest in yourself, take courses and learn. And, but that's not during work time. That's over and above. You do that in the evenings. You do that at night. You do that on Sunday mornings when everybody else is still sleeping in your household. That's when you do that. And that's what'll get you there faster than anything else.
I like that. I got up this morning, got ready so I can jump into YouTube and listen to Nick Nimmin at 8 o'clock in the morning because he goes live, talks about how to get better. And It doesn't matter whether it's slab leaks, leak detection. I still study it. I go to conferences, not just to go and talk and speak and do things like that. I go to learn. At social media conferences, I still, even when I go speak at them, I'm sitting in every other session that I can. And people always come up and they're like, dude, you could write this session. Why are you in here? It's like, man, if I can learn one thing to help me get better,
100%.
It makes all the difference in the world.
100%. I don't know how many clack rebuild valve sessions I've sat through. And some of my friends said, you've been through that before. I said, I don't care. It's my fourth time. I learn something new every time. And I ask new questions every time.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty neat. I like that. I like that a lot. Well, good. Gary, this has been wonderful.
It has been great, Roger.
Thank you for coming all the way down from Canada to do this.
Happy to.
It's kind of a neat way to get the information out there and let people know. Plumbers, man, we need to learn how to improve our bottom line. And I think water filtration is a great way to do it. So I do appreciate you being here.
Oh, happy to.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.